99% of YouTube advice is wrong for business owners.
He's Oscar Owen, the #1 business strategist in the world. He helps business owners turn their YouTube channel into lead generation machines and helping them get more clients.
Understanding your viewer, and specifically your ideal viewer, is, I would say, the single most important factor to what determines if your channel will succeed or fail from a business perspective.
He has been on YouTube for nearly a decade. His main channel teaches magic tricks and has 1.4 million subscribers and 300 million views.
As someone who's gone down the views route already, I can tell you that from a business perspective, the number of views you have on your videos means absolutely nothing.
If you want to grow a YouTube channel that not only builds your personal brand, but actually grows a business, then this episode will reveal it all.
50% of the success of a video is determined by this one thing.
Oscar, you put out there a very controversial thing that 99% of YouTube advice, it's wrong. Why is that?
So it's 99% of YouTube advice is wrong for business owners. Meaning, if you go on YouTube right now and you search how to grow a YouTube channel, how to build your YouTube channel, what most YouTube gurus out there will tell you is you've got to get views, you've got to get subscribers, you've got to build the biggest audience possible. And the idea here is that more views is a good thing. But as someone who's got 1.4 million subscribers on his main channel and has gone down the views route already, I can tell you that from a business perspective, the number of views you have on your videos means absolutely nothing. The number of subscribers you have in your channel means absolutely nothing when it comes to generating leads and sales for your business. So when I say that 99% of YouTube advice is wrong, it's wrong for business owners. Now, of course, there are still parallels that come across. So you do need good thumbnails. Of course, you need some views. There are obviously principles that remain true on business channels and more virally entertainment channels. But specifically for business channels, when it comes to trying to grow your business on YouTube, the most important thing to focus on is the viewer and not the number of views. And I can tell you hands down that 1,000 qualified views on your YouTube channel is much, much more profitable than 100,000 random viewers on, a video that you made that went viral. So when it comes to following YouTube advice that's online, you've got to be very, very careful with who you follow. And it's got to be advice that's based on you and your situation. And if you're a business owner trying to grow on YouTube, then trying to go viral, trying to make crazy Mr. Beast thumbnails and do all these kind of sensationalized topics or overly edited videos, that just simply doesn't work anymore. And that's going to damage your channel more than it's going to help it.
Love that angle, especially because I am on the path to actually start exactly that. A YouTube channel that's aim for lead generation, not to become the next Mr. Beast or the next huge creator with millions of followers and so on. And you mentioned that there's a word that caught my attention, viewer. How important is to know exactly who we create the videos for?
Understanding your viewer, and specifically your ideal viewer, is, I would say, the single most important factor to what determines if your channel will succeed or fail from a business perspective. A lot of people who I work with, and and my own experience as well, having made lots of videos on YouTube, is, let's just say you're a business owner, you've got a $5,000 consultancy product. If you make a video and it gets 1 million views, but all of those views from teenagers, they're never going to buy your $5,000 consultancy product, right? So the viewer is the single most important thing that you've got to understand before you actually start making videos. So most people, when they start a YouTube channel, they want to build a YouTube channel, build their personal brand, build their business. They always focus on the how. How do I make videos? How do I come up with good ideas? How do I script my videos? But they don't focus on the who, which is, who am I actually making videos for? Because you could come up with the best video in the world. You could have an insane video idea for, an amazing thumbnail, amazing title. But if it's for the wrong audience, then it doesn't matter how well that video performs, it's never going to convert into sales. So what I always tell people is you've got to focus on the viewer and not the number of views that your video is getting. But what does that actually mean? What does it actually mean to say, okay, focus on the viewer? What you've got to do is, before you start making your channel or your videos, think to yourself, who is my dream client? Who do I actually want to work with? And literally write this out. So what are their pain points? What are their goals? What transformations do they want to have? What gender are they? What age are they? Where do they live in the world? What kind of language do they use when they search things into YouTube? Most people don't realize this, but YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world after Google, and Google owns YouTube. So most of the time, a Google search will just end up with YouTube results. And your ideal viewer, the people who want to work with you and want to buy from you in the future, they're right now searching specific things onto YouTube to solve those problems. So you need to start thinking about all of these sort of things before you actually start making your videos. And then once you know who your ideal viewer actually is, that's when you start focus on the how. And that's when you focus on, okay, now let's make videos for this specific person. So does that kind of make sense from the sort of the viewer perspective and how you think about your viewer before you actually go about making videos?
Absolutely, yeah. And since this is the foundation for anything when it comes to business, right? Like as a growth marketing consultant, I'm always starting from there. Who's the ICP? Who's the ideal client that you want to work with, rather than, I don't know, just a random person? For me, it makes perfect sense. But I know from also the lens of my audience and my clients that most of people struggle here at this exact foundation, because they think, oh, but if I say no to this individual, I'm always a big client. But if I say no to the other, even that those no's don't fit that ideal client persona. How do you actually make sure that we stay on track and don't deviate from that specific avatar, if you want?
Yeah, there's lots of different ways. I mean, to do when it comes to doing YouTube, there is like testing that's involved as well. So your ideal viewer, your ideal avatar will change over time, and it's very rare that you get it 100% spot on from to begin with. But what I recommend people do when they're first starting out is just write down. I mean, I actually tell my clients, like, literally have a cardboard cutout in your room of the person you're actually making videos for. And then with every video you make, you want intentionality behind it, and you've got to make sure that it speaks to that person. But then once you've actually started making these videos, it all comes down to analytics and feedback and reception. So what you want to do is like look at your, demographics. What is the age range? What is the location? If you're trying to attract, let's say, business owners in the USA, to be quite broad to begin with, it'd be really good if the majority of your viewers between, age 35 plus, and they were from, let's say, the USA and the UK. That will be a good sign that you're reaching a much more mature audience. Another thing to do is look at the different platforms that people are coming to your videos on. Again, generally speaking, this is not all the time, but you want more people watching your videos for a longer period of time, let's say on their laptop, over things like mobile devices. Now, again, there is like wiggle room with that because obviously everyone uses their phones, but it's understanding these little principles that will basically let you know whether or not your videos are reaching the right people. And by far the biggest one is just the comments. So the feedback you're actually getting on your videos when people say, oh, this video it felt like it was made for me. And you look at that person's profile and, they don't necessarily have a YouTube channel themselves, but it's just more like when people start leaving comments saying this was made for me, I really resonate with this, and those people are your ideal viewers, that's when you know you're on track to actually, making successful YouTube videos.
Love it. And to be a bit more tactical, you mentioned this as being the most important thing. But once we define that, once we know exactly all the details about them, their problems, their fears, their frustration, and the destination they want to arrive to, what's the next step?
Yeah, really good question. So once you know who you're making videos for, generally speaking, you then want to actually start making the videos. And when it comes to making YouTube videos, the idea is the most important part. But the idea has to match the ideal avatar that you're trying to make videos for. That's why you come up with the ideal avatar first, and then you focus on ideas that are relevant to that person. So step 2 is you focus on the video idea. I would say the video idea is responsible for 50% of the success of your video. Your idea sets the video's potential, and then your title, your thumbnail, your editing, your scripting, they just determine how much of that potential you unlock. So what I then recommend people do is sit down and come up with really good video ideas for your ideal avatar. And there's lots of different ways to do this. Often you can be having conversations with, let's say, people in your community, if you've got like a paid coaching program already, and get feedback from that and make very niche specific videos based on, your current client's feedback. Also, what you can do is you can look at other people in your niche or in different niches and see what videos on their channels are performing well, and take those ideas as your starting point, and then make videos which are not copying, but you take them as a starting point, and then you expand and improve on other people's ideas. And that's really the best way to come up with successful video ideas for the right people on your YouTube channel. So once you've got, so what I'm trying to say is like stage 2 is coming up with the video idea, then it's the title and thumbnail. And you do all of that before you even turn the camera on and start filming the video.
That's an interesting approach, and especially because some other random advice that I read is that, oh, you actually need to have the full-blown outline before you create the title and so on. So after the idea, you actually create a title and a thumbnail. So it's interesting. But before we jump into that, I would like you to give us two examples. One of a great idea and one of a bad idea.
Well, I give you a real example from some of my community very recently. And the one thing I want to say when it comes up with video ideas, you should allocate, if it takes you 10 hours to make a YouTube video, at least an hour of that time should be spent coming up with video ideas. Okay, so I would love to be able to sit here and be like, oh, great idea, great idea, great idea. But this is the whole point. It's because the video idea is responsible for 50% of the success of the video. You need to spend time doing that, right? So that's the first mindset shift people need to actually make when it comes to approaching YouTube. If 50% of the success of the video is determined by this one thing, and most people spend 2 minutes coming up with a video idea, then they're not allocating their resources appropriately. So I can't just come up with really good video ideas on the top of my head. I'd have to research, look, think. But to give you an example very recently from my community of a bad video idea and then a good video idea, there's a guy in my community who runs Facebook ads, and he has, let's say it's a $10,000 offer, and he runs your ads for you, and he's very successful, and he's doing very well with what he's doing. And he made a video recently, basically, and it was called something like "Day in the Life of a Multi-Millionaire in Miami," something along those lines. And the video got, let's say, 50,000 views. It did really well. It reached lots of people. And guess how many sales he made from that video?
Probably zero.
Because the video idea was really good. But it wasn't for his target audience. It was a good personal branding video if that was his goal, but it's not his goal. His goal of his YouTube channel was just to make money for his business, right? So this is the point with like a good video idea. It needs to be a good idea specific to your avatar. So instead, what he should have done would be a really boring video, which might be the right mindset to be in to run your Facebook ads. Now that's a really boring video, but for the right person who really needs to know how to run Facebook ads and they actually watch the whole deep dive, that would be a much better video. And even if it got 1,000 views and he converted one person and got one sale, that would be, potentially a $10,000 client each month, right? So, and that's what he is regularly doing on his channel. A lot of people, they see these other people like Iman Gatsi doing day in the life of a multi-millionaire doing X, Y, Z, and they think, oh, that's what I need to do as well. But that might work for them and their strategy. For most business owners starting out, there's absolutely no point doing that because you're just going to attract the wrong people. And actually, when we went into the analytics of this video, he just attracted loads of teenagers because they wanted to live the life of a millionaire, and they watched this video and they were inspired, and that's awesome. But none of them are going to buy from him because they don't have the money and it's not his target audience. So that's a good example of like a bad video idea for his target audience, even though the video on paper was very successful. And this kind of circles back to a lot of what I said earlier about how 99% of advice out there is wrong for business owners. I think a lot of YouTube gurus would be like, no, man, that's a great video. Like, keep doing that. That's really good. You got 50,000 views. It's just not true for your business. Now, had this guy gone, you know what? I want to build a personal brand and now, expand my reach, which I recommend people do, then that's awesome. But that should be done on a separate channel where you can build a separate audience that doesn't dilute your authority in a particular space. So again, when it comes to expanding your YouTube channel, expanding your reach, I'm not saying forever you've got to be niche and make these tiny little videos. But when you do want to like move beyond what you're just doing in your business and beyond the business channel, do that on a new channel where you can build a wider audience. So you don't create a split audience, which is like where you've got some teenagers who want the multi-millionaire lifestyle stuff, and you've got some serious ad people who want to buy your program, because that just confuses the algorithm and it kills your growth. So I hope that's a decent example of the two parallels there.
Yeah, I like that. And to kind of put it into a different light, for example, with your first YouTube channel as a magician, I know that you made more money from the educational side of things than from actual AdSense, given that you have over 1 million subscribers. How you translate that into business advice? Because you grow a channel, I think you have over a few million views, and that, I assume, were a lot of people that weren't your target audience, were just there to learn magic tricks. And how you translate that into actually people buying your educational course into how to do magic tricks?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And so just for context, the main channel that I have teaches magic tricks. It's got 250 million views, 1 point something million subscribers. And yeah, it's a tutorial channel specifically. So I don't do any performances on that channel. I don't film me doing a day in the life vlog, doing magic. I don't do that because people aren't going to buy. So actually the topic of the channel is still kind of niche within the magic world, but my TAM, my total addressable market, is huge because so many people want to learn magic. It's just quite a broad skill that people want to learn. The real challenge with magic is people aren't willing to spend thousands of dollars on learning magic tricks because it's quite a low value skill. And therefore, I have to sell in volume. The only way I can actually build this into a business is if I have low ticket offers and I sell that in volume, and then I've got some high ticket stuff on the back end. So that really was the approach that I realized, in which case I do have to adapt a very different strategy, which is I do have to make videos that get a lot of views in order to start selling at volume. It's the same with someone like Mr. Beast. Like, the reason he sells chocolate bars is because he reaches millions and millions of people. And generally speaking, the more people you reach, the more diluted your audience, and or the lower the price of the product that you need to charge. So that's the general rule when it comes to at least YouTube and selling things on there. And that's the approach I took on my magic channel as well. So fortunately with magic, it is quite easy to get views because it's quite an innately interesting thing, and people rewatch videos to learn the secret, which skyrockets watch time, and YouTube quite likes that. So I really try to play into that and go like, okay, how can I make videos that do get a lot of views, but still keep it within the teaching magic trick vertical? And then once I've done that, I basically use lead magnets and I funnel people to a free email course pretty much. And then from there, I sell my course in the back end. So that's really how I approach translate views into actual revenue. But yeah, I don't necessarily recommend that everyone uses that strategy. I would say for most business owners starting out, it's much easier to charge high ticket and just get a few thousand views on average per video than it is to try and get videos that average millions of views and then sell something low ticket.
I love that you brought that up because it's so controversial. To a lot of people are telling like, just create the low ticket offer, then upsell them, and then you arrive at the high ticket and so on. But it's much more easier to sell a high ticket rather than 10 low ticket, and then maybe you get someone that is buying more from you. And moving to your new channel that you start, I guess, last year, if I remember correctly, that is focusing specifically on high ticket and converting the audience to lead magnets. How to convert those listeners into high paying clients?
So the only reason someone will ever buy from you is because they like you and trust you. I really think that there's a huge revolution going on, you could maybe use that word, which is people don't trust adverts nearly as much as they used to. And ad prices have started skyrocketing. And, the last time I actually saw an advert and went out and bought something high ticket was a long time ago. But the last time I bought something high ticket from someone that I see online and I like them, I trust them, I watch their content regularly, was a lot more recent. And most people, I would say most people, it's the same, not blanket, but a lot more people are basically buying from creators and those that they trust, or business owners who have YouTube channels, over like cold traffic and Facebook ads. So the first thing I'm trying to say here is that people buy from those that they trust. And generally speaking, the rule to actually get someone to buy something from you is that they need to consume 7 hours of your content to actually like you enough and trust you enough to press the buy button, as it were. And that brings up, okay, if that is the case, if it is the case, they need to watch 7 hours of your content. What is the best way to do this? Is it TikTok? Is it Instagram? Is it LinkedIn? Is it through emails? What is it? And the single best place by a country mile is YouTube, because YouTube videos are like, up to 20, 30 minutes long. And so it's a lot faster to get someone to watch those 7 hours than it is if you just had, let's say, a billion TikToks or loads of Instagram reels, right? So the first thing I want to say is the reason I'm able to start getting these high ticket sales is because I'm making videos on my channel that provide value, but also gain trust. And the way in which I've then structured my videos is done in a very specific way to increase my watch time so that people watch lots of my stuff. And by the end of it, they go, oh, I actually am interested in potentially working with this person. So the single most important thing you can do as a business owner when it comes to creating YouTube videos is the videos have to be really valuable. You've got to solve real problems for real people. And again, this comes back to the ideation side. There's no point making like a viral video if it doesn't solve any problem. Like, you're making videos for humans, not algorithms. So especially if these people are going to be spending money with you, you've got to make sure that you're coming across as an authority in your niche. The second thing I would then say is when you're actually in your videos, having a call to action done in the right way is the difference between, your channel maybe earning no money from a video and $20,000 from a video, depending on like what your offer is. So the way in which I structure my call to actions in my video, a call to action is just leading people to the next step, be it email marketing, be it to your sales page, be it to another one of your videos. The way in which you do it is twofold. I always recommend people have 2 call to actions in the video. Call to action number 1 should be within the first 3 to 5 minutes of the video. And this call to action basically should send people to some sort of lead magnet or whatever the next step is to your actual paid program. And the way in which you do this is you don't just say, hey, by the way, if you want to join my coaching program or download my lead magnet, click the first link in the description. Instead, what you do is you have your next step as a natural extension of the first point in the video. So if we go back to the Facebook ads example, just to give you a really clear example of this, let's just say the first point of his video is, let's just say the guy makes a video on Facebook ads, and point number 1 in the video is you need to be in the right mindset to run your Facebook ads. If you then have a lead magnet that says, and by the way, I've got the top 5 things you need to think about when it comes to mindset, just download it for free in the description. That seems like a natural extension of your content, and more people are therefore likely to click on the first link in the description and actually download your free thing, and you get them on your email list, right? So that's the mindset you should have when you're having call to actions. If you just randomly say, oh, by the way, join my coaching program, it won't work. So the first call to action needs to be a natural extension of the point that you're making in your video, and it needs to be within the first 3 to 5 minutes. So many business owners, they put all their call to actions at the end of the video, and you've seen a normal retention curve. It drops and drops and drops and drops. And by the end of the video, you'll be lucky if 20% of people are actually still watching. So a lot of the reasons why people don't get as many leads as possible when it comes to creating their YouTube videos is simply because their call to action is right at the very end of the video. So the first thing is you need your first call to action within the first 3 to 5 minutes, make it a natural extension of whatever point you're making, which does mean you need specific lead magnets for every video you make. But when I did this, it literally like tripled the number of people clicking on my lead magnet, which massively boosted my business. So it's so worth actually doing that. And then the second call to action you have should be at the very end of your video, because you still do want one there. And I always use this call to action as sending people to another one of my videos. So what you do is you say, hey, if you enjoyed this video, you'll also like this other video that I've made, and they can click on that other video, and then they're watching more of your content, they're building more trust, and then eventually they'll get to a point, hopefully, if you're making great videos and you're solving real problems, where they actually want to start working with you.
How make sure they do that? Because often they just watch a 20 minutes video. I won't be watching any other video right now because I need to, I don't know, have other things to do. How make sure that they actually click on that next video?
It's a really good question. So the best way to do it is you set up another problem, and then you say this other video is going to solve that problem. So let's keep using the example of the Facebook ads manager just to keep consistency. Let's say he makes a video, and the video is all about the best ways to run your Facebook ads, and he does the whole video. And then he goes, at the very end of the video, he goes, but if you don't know how to budget if you don't have to create the right budget for your Facebook ads, then everything I've just said won't work. Therefore, watch this video here where I explain how to budget your Facebook ads. Does that make sense? You create some sort of problem at the end of the video, and then you say that my next video will solve that problem. So again, you can't force people to watch it, but it's the strongest way to increase your session time by creating a problem, sending other people to another one of your videos. And when you do this, it means you stop thinking of videos in terms of like singular entities, and you start thinking of them almost as a customer journey that nurtures people through video after video after video to the point where they get those 7 hours, to the point where they actually want to start working with you and buying from you.
That's smart, because at the end of the day, the more they consume, the more they'll trust you, because they also is actually know what it's talking about. I guess it teach me this and now this and now this. And of course, as a business owner, I don't have the time to execute, because that's another, I guess, misconception that people have. Like if I would give, I don't know, the blueprint for free, people won't hire me to execute the work, but they will, or they will hire you to teach them or to consult them, because people are busy and time is a most precious asset.
I mean, I always tell people as well, people will say, oh, I should keep some things back, because if I teach everything on YouTube, then what am I selling? And my response is no. Every single thing that you know, teach it for free on YouTube. I'm the complete opposite, because when people buy coaching, they're not looking for more information. When people buy a high ticket program, what they're buying is implementation, not information, right? So to give you a really basic example, imagine Jeff Bezos wrote a book. The book would cost $20 and it'd be all the secrets he knows about building Amazon, right? That would cost you $20. But to get a one-on-one private mastermind with Jeff Bezos would probably be priceless, because it's Jeff Bezos and he's going to coach you on what he's doing, right? So that's the difference between coaching and information. I'm very upfront. Every magic trick I teach in my paid courses, you can pretty much find for free online somewhere. Everything I teach about YouTube strategy, I'll be honest, you can probably find it at somewhere online completely free, but people don't want more information. There's so much. You can go on ChatGPT and you can, if you want to, let's say, get better in the gym, ChatGPT can make a whole gym workout for you tomorrow. But so why do people still use personal trainers? Because they want to actually implement the information that's there, and they want to bounce ideas off someone. They want someone who's actually been there and done it to speak to. That's what people buy. And also, like, of course, there's an argument for like having maybe a little bit held back your secret sauce and structured information. So I'm not saying that you should teach like 100% of everything, but generally speaking, if you don't teach it for free on YouTube, someone else will, and someone else will be providing therefore more value. And so when it comes to your ideal avatar choosing who to buy from, they're going to probably buy from the person who's given out more information for free and given that value up front. So my general thesis and just what I do is I try and give as much value for free up front. But then if you want that extra level of support, that extra level of help, that's where the coaching side comes in. So that's kind of my mindset when it comes to sort of information versus implementation.
And it's a healthy one, because to have that outside perspective on the things that you're actually implementing, it's so valuable. Complete opposite to just having a ton of information that you're just, I don't know, drowning in it, and you're flooded with all the information that it's around us. How you make sure that we translate that information from the idea that you have into something of value through the video that we create?
Yeah, so the framework that I like to follow is called the HIVE formula, that stands for hook, intro, value, end screen. And essentially, if you follow this formula, you've still got to play the YouTube game and have hooks and have engaging stuff to make sure people don't drop off. But at the same time, you don't want to overdo it, overdo the editing, overdo the scripting, because you need someone to keep people engaged. So I think that's a really good question, which is like, how do you find the balance between providing value, but not, let's say, rambling on, but also having good hook? And this is basically how I would recommend you go about doing it. So the HIVE formula, you start off with hook, and this is just the first 15 seconds of the video, or for first 10 seconds of the video. All you've got to do is repeat the video title. Don't worry about hooks. Don't spend hours coming up with something really creative and clever. All you need to do is repeat the title. So if the video was why the iPhone is the best phone in the world, in the first 10 seconds, you would literally say, in this video, guys, I'm going to explain why the iPhone is the best phone in the world. The reason you do this is you've got to think about it from the viewer's perspective when they click on a YouTube video. They see your title and thumbnail, and the title and thumbnail set expectations. When they click on the title and thumbnail, those expectations need to be met straight away, or they click off. So if they click on a video of yours, if you don't repeat the title and thumbnail really early on, they feel clickbaited, they feel like they haven't got what they wanted, and then they click off. So you can do some like interesting hook things, like an open loop and an interesting question if you want. But if you want to keep things really simple, most people are business owners. They don't have time to spend hours and hours scripting things out. All I say is just repeat the title as the first thing you say in the video. So that's step one. I stands for intro. The introduction then needs to not just match the expectations, but exceed them. So you've matched the expectations by repeating the title and thumbnail, and then you exceed the expectations by basically saying why you're the person who's got authority to speak on this topic. And this is basically your credibility. So whatever your video is about, you've just got to explain in very, very briefly why you're an authority on this. So if you're let's say you're a personal trainer and you're making a YouTube video about something to do with the gym, you could just be like, look, I've been a personal trainer for 10 years. I've tried every single ab workout, and this is my favorite one. So let's get into the video. So it's really, really quick. You don't need to say, I was featured on Forbes and I did this and I did this. People don't actually care, but they just need to know that you're an authority in your space. So on my YouTube strategy channel, I'll very often mention, and on my main channel that's got 1 million subscribers, blah, 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 it just lets people know that I've done YouTube, I've got some authority there, and then I go straight into the actual value of the video, which is the V. When it comes to the value, I recommend that most business owners don't script out their videos word for word. The reason for this is scripting takes a really, really long time. Instead, what I recommend you do is have bullet points where you've got the main heading, the point that you want to make, and then you've got some sub points, which is the information that you just want to cover. And I recommend that most people, they look at the bullet points, they sort of memorize what they're going to talk about roughly, they go back to the camera, and then they just start speaking naturally about whatever that point is. Now, given that most people who I hope are watching this are business owners, you should know enough about your niche to talk about it off the top of your head. Now, again, talking to the camera is a skill. So I'm not saying for a second that you've just got to be perfect and you'll be absolutely fine. You still have to build up that skill, and it does take time. But that's the next part. You basically don't use scripting things out word for word. It just takes too long. It might take you a day to do a script, whereas bullet points, it'll be nearly as succinct if you sort of know your topic very well, and it might take you an hour or so. And then E is end screen, and that's basically what we talked about earlier, which is where you send people to another one of your videos. So that's the Hive formula: hook, intro, value, end screen. And it's the best way to structure your YouTube videos to maximize conversions, but also get the best number of like qualified viewers to your channel as well.
And if you go a bit back to the call to action that you mentioned, that should be when you introduce them to the topics that you're going to discuss, or right after the intro?
Oh, yeah, good point. No, so that would be after the first bit of value. So it's hook, intro, value. Value would be broken down into, let's say, 3 to 5 key points that you want to make. And after point 1, that's when you give the CTA. Because if you hook, then you do the intro, and then you give a call to action straight away, you haven't provided any value, and people are like, well, I don't know you, I don't trust you, I'm not going to click on this thing, right? So you've got to give the first point, and then your first call to action is straight after the first points that you make. And again, as we said earlier, that call to action in an ideal world, if you've got the time, should be a specific lead magnet for the video that's just an extension of the first point that you make.
As a business owner, as I mentioned, I want to start my own YouTube channel. I have an objection here. I don't have the time to create a lead magnet for every single video that I'll put out there. How do I manage to come up with good ideas, create the outline for the video, record the video, and create as well the valuable lead magnet that will actually convert into potential clients?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there's a couple of things I'd say here. Firstly, when I talk about a specific lead magnet for each video, if you don't have the time to do it, that is totally fine as well. So you can just have a generic lead magnet that you always refer people to. And if you simply don't have the time, of course, sending them to that is better than sending them to nothing. That being said, these lead magnets, the specific ones, can be really fast. So for example, I made a video a few days ago. The video took me, let's say, 2 hours to make. It's very, very quick. And the lead magnet was just a ChatGPT prompt that took me maybe a minute to make. But because it's a specific lead magnet, it might double the number of people clicking on that link, which might lead to more sales. I haven't got enough data to back this one up yet, but therefore it's such a good ROI on the investment of time that I'm actually making. So I would still always encourage people to try and come up with a specific lead magnet, but it doesn't have to be like a new ebook or a new free training for everything. It can just be something really small and simple that just provides that extra bit of more value to the viewer. It could be, if you're a personal trainer, it could be your favorite meal to have in the morning for breakfast, right? It could just literally be that, and you just give the recipe. It might take you 20 minutes to do that. Boosh, done, but it's specific to the video and people feel like they're getting more value from the actual video you're making. The second thing, when it comes more generally though to business owners and creating YouTube videos, you've hit on a really good point there, which is you see all these big YouTubers and they've got teams of people. They've got all the time in the world to actually start putting content up because they can just outsource absolutely everything. But as a business owner, starting out a YouTube channel, you don't have the time to do that, let's say, and you've also got to run your business, and you've got to maintain some semblance of a social life, and you've got to do all these other things. And on top of that, you've now got to start doing a YouTube channel. So the best bit of advice I can give people when they're like sort of entrepreneurs wanting to start the YouTube channel is you've got to firstly shift your mindset and realize that if you do YouTube correctly, it will be one of the biggest assets to your business, aka it's going to be bringing in leads and customers at a negative cost of customer acquisition, because YouTube literally pays you to have videos on the platform through AdSense, right? So if you do it right, YouTube is going to be incredibly good for your business. And the way in which you've got to think about it is YouTube is just as important as that sales meeting, as meeting a customer client. And what a lot of people do is they push YouTube around. And what I recommend you do instead is you just set half a day to make YouTube videos once per week. That's what you should do. So it might be, for most entrepreneurs, they've sales calls and stuff through the week. So I don't say do it then. Sunday they take off. So I just go Saturday morning, that is your content day. Now, if you follow a correct sort of procedure and you do bullet points, you don't script things out, you can make a YouTube video that solves a real problem for a real person in about 4 hours, give or take. So that's the amount of time you need to block off each week. And then the most important thing to actually be successful on YouTube is you just post one video per week for 52 weeks, improve one thing at a time, and your channel will grow. And if you do it for the right audience, it will be found by the right people, and you will start getting inbound from YouTube itself. But you can only do that if you actually schedule out time, you're serious about it, you shift your mindset, and you realize that YouTube is a part of your business, and you can't push it around because you've got a sales call here or you've got a meeting here. Like Saturday morning, in most people's cases, just should be your content day, in my opinion.
I like that approach specifically because lead generation, if you don't allocate time for it, those leads won't come. No matter your strategy, it's YouTube, it's other platforms or anything else, you need to block time for that. Otherwise, you're just running on empty gas tank. And to solve another maybe limiting belief that people have is the tech side of things. I might not have the right equipment. I might not have the right technical skills in order to edit a video. How do you go about it? I just put my phone there and record and put the video as it is, or you have different advice?
Yeah, it's really situational dependent. So the first thing I would say is, again, when it comes to business owners, if you have money to reinvest into an editor, I'd recommend you do that from day one, and a thumbnail designer as well. If you could outsource thumbnail designing and editing from day one, you're freeing up like 80% of your time. It's really that significant. And also, these are very low value tasks to outskill, meaning there are so many editors, there are so many thumbnail designers out there who would love to help you and would love to have consistent work, a video every single week. So the first thing I would say is seriously consider outsourcing content, those two parts of the content creation, as soon as possible. And generally speaking, people always want prices and stuff. You can outsource editing for, I'd say, $150 per video, which is around $600 per month if you do 4 videos per month. And that would basically be like a rough baseline. So the YouTube channel, if you're starting to outsource from day one, will roughly cost you around $600 per month just to outsource the video editing, which will free up like 70, 80% of your time like that. So again, business owners often have that luxury because it's a business expense and it's part of, you can see it almost as like just investing in your channel. So that's the first thing I would recommend. Obviously, I appreciate that not everyone is able to do that. So the second thing I would say is I couldn't agree with you more. It's much better to just upload a video and not wait for everything to be perfect. Perfectionism is like the enemy of creation, as it were, because if you wait for everything to be perfect, then you're going to upload one video every 4 months because you're waiting for the perfect script, the perfect filming setup, the perfect lighting, the perfect everything. And if you upload, the creator who uploads, let's say in 8 weeks, the creator who uploads 8 videos will be leagues ahead of the creator who uploads 1 video in those 2 months, in those 8 weeks, because they've got 8 times the experience. And even if all 8 videos are really bad, by the end of those 8 weeks, they'll be so much further ahead than the creator who try to get everything perfect. And yeah, I just see like perfectionism is just procrastination in disguise. You're much better off just uploading 1 video per week and improving 1 thing at a time. And the other thing to remember, again, specifically for business owners, and this is why we're circling back to what we said at the very beginning when it comes to YouTube advice, people don't want these perfect videos. They actually want that more raw and authentic side to you because they want you just to solve their actual problems. The people watching your videos, they don't want like fancy Mr. Beast editing where there's green animations and screenshots coming up every 2 seconds. If anything, for me, it gives me a headache. Like I just want to watch a real person talking to the camera and providing real solutions to a problem that I have. And that's the mindset that your ideal customer will also be in. Sure, children, they might want the super stimulating stuff, but you're not trying to reach children as a business owner. So again, I wouldn't worry about that too much. And recently what I've been doing is I've just been doing split screen recordings. So I have my iPad and me just talking, and I'm just no scripts, no nothing. I'm just drawing some different diagrams out on my iPad. I'm doing a screen recording. There's no editing costs because I'm literally just uploading the screen recording with my face next to it afterwards. And I can make one of those videos in a couple of hours. And they're actually the highest converting videos on my channel when it comes to leads. And they get like 500 to 1,000 views per video. So it really isn't about views and quality. It's more about the quality of information over the quality of the image. That's not me saying if you can have a great setup, do it. Aspire to have that. Aspire to film something good, but you don't need that to succeed.
Indeed, and I like that idea. I think it's very powerful to have the split screen because first and foremost, they see you and they build trust. You build trust with showing yourself. And after that, you actually show something that will let them to understand better the concept of the idea that you share. And I also see a lot of people using like the whiteboard sessions in which they film themselves on the whiteboard. But the idea with an iPad, and even probably having a pre-made presentation that you can share after that next to your face can work well. All sounds great until now, but how the heck I'm actually attracting viewers to my YouTube channel? I start creating these videos, I optimize them, I use the framework that you just shared, but how I make sure that the algorithm actually push the video out there, or people that search for that particular problem are actually finding my video and standing out in front of, I don't know, million others.
So the best way to approach this, I mean, the first mindset shift is if you want to grow fast, you do need to niche down. Fast as in to your target audience. Because if you make very specific videos for an individual group of people, the algorithm can categorize that so much faster than if you, let me give you an example like productivity. If you were trying to become like, let's say your goal was the #1 productivity expert in the world, I'd probably say that that position is taken by Ali Abdaal right now, and it has been for a long time. So everyone knows him as the productivity guy. If you start trying to make videos, which is like the 10 greatest productivity hacks, even if it's like within the video, it's for a specific person, the problem is you are competing against Ali Abdaal. You're competing against people who are doing this for years. And unless it is like the best video in the world on the 10 productivity hacks, it's very, very unlikely that you're going to outrank these people. So what I recommend you do instead is you do make a lot more niche and specific videos for your ideal viewer. So for example, someone in my community, they really focus on productivity, but specifically for people wanting to get into Harvard. So they talk about productivity and getting into Harvard, and okay, they're not getting many views, but because the titles are so targeted and it's so specific to a very small group of people, they're able to grow their business very, very fast because the viewer feels like it's literally made for them, because it is. Now, long term, this person's goal is well, well beyond that. But if you want to grow fast, it's actually much easier to start off niche, build your business around like a micro niche personal brand and start charging for that. And then long term, you can sort of expand out into whatever you want to do. So to answer your question, it's really about being intentional with your videos and making sure it speaks to a very specific person. Your ideal viewers, the people you want watching your videos, they're already out there. They're like, you don't have to make them exist. They're already out there watching YouTube videos right now. You've just got to make videos for them. And it's in the interest of the algorithm to share those videos with them if your videos are good enough, right? So how do you make sure a video is good? You make sure it's specific to your ideal viewer and it just actually solves one of their problems. And it's a really valuable video. That's really the secret. And sure, your first 5-10 videos might get basically no views because it might take some time for the algorithm to categorize them, right? But if you keep doing this and you just keep at it, eventually you build up a bank of information that the YouTube algorithm can be like, oh, these videos of this group of people here, and if those viewers really like it, it will just naturally grow. So that's really the way to approach it. Again, it's having what I look to look at as input goals, not output goals. So I wouldn't look at I need to try and get 10 sales calls and 2,000 views per video. It's just I need to have input goals, which is I need to make 1 video per week for this ideal viewer, and I stick at that and I just give that a go for, let's say, 2 months. And then after 2 months, I reassess and I go, it's not working. Okay, what can I change? And if it is working, or let's say one video in particular really popped off and reached your ideal viewer, you double down on that, and then you make more videos along those lines if it feels like the right thing to do.
And to stand by your suggestion, Ali Abdaal started the same way. I think he was focused on students, productivity for students, before he expanded into the full productivity and now podcasting and so on. So yeah, niching down, it's very underrated, and often it's seen as I don't know, as cliche, but it works. Like, because you become the authority, the go-to person in that niche. Like, you specifically, you're the #1 consultant when it comes to YouTube for business, and that's the thing, right? Like, you become that because you basically focus on helping people converting traffic into leads. And on that note, where people can get in touch with you?
Of course, yeah. If you search Oscar Owen business, my business strategy channel will come up, and there's loads of free information there, all to do with different ways and strategies to grow your business channel to get more leads, more exposure, build your personal brand in that space. So that's one way to do it. The other way, if there's links and stuff, I can also link it. I've got a free ebook that people can download, which is just the 10 steps to actually just get started on YouTube. Again, figuring out your ideal viewer, how to create good scripts for them, how to make videos, how to position your offer for these people. So all of that stuff I can send you, and you can put the link for that maybe under this podcast.
Yeah, of course, I'd love to do that. And on that note, like I want to conclude with maybe a big takeaway from this to make the life of the business owners easy when it comes to YouTube. Apart, so they'll get that step-by-step process that you're gonna share with me, and I'll put it in the show notes. If they have that, how do you make sure that they actually stick to it? Is just mindset, or is more than that?
I think mindset is the biggest thing. Again, I know that sounds cliche, but when you commit to doing YouTube, it's a lifestyle decision. It's not a, hey, I'll make a video and see how it goes. It's no, I'm serious about this and I'm going to really do it. Because the truth is, you can't guarantee views, you can't guarantee results, you can't guarantee any. The only guarantee someone can make is that if you publish one video per week for 52 weeks and improve one thing at a time, your life and business will change in some way, shape, or form. You can't put a number on it. You can't say this many subscribers, this many sales, but something will happen. Maybe you'll get invited to speak at an event. Maybe you'll meet new people and your life will change that way. Maybe you do get lots of sales. And look, that's the stuff we aim for and we hope for. But organic content is a very mental game. And it's a very tough game because it's not just like Facebook ads where you pour in money and you get results ideally, and it's like very analytical. With YouTube, you've got to be a lot more mentally strong, I think. And because of that, before you even embark on doing this YouTube journey, I always recommend to people that you really need to figure out your why. And like, what is the dream scenario for you? Why are you actually doing this YouTube channel in the first place? Is it actually the best thing for your business? And once you figure out why you want to do it, write down what will happen if you don't do it. What opportunities will you miss? What sort of connections won't you make? What leads and sales won't you get if you don't build the YouTube channel? And then you kind of use these two scenarios, your dream scenario and your what if scenario, to push you through the tough times that will come. Because there'll be times, it's even now today with my channel that's got over 1 million subscribers, if I make a video and it's performed 10 out of 10, I'm always like, oh gosh, like I still don't feel good about it, even though I know that's not the right way and to approach YouTube. So I still go back to these sort of dream scenarios and what if scenarios to sort of recalibrate my own mind and make me realize that it's all about the process. It's all about the journey, and committing, one video doesn't mean anything. It's about your commitment overall. But the commitment all starts from mindset and really figuring out internally, why are you doing this, and shifting your identity to become a YouTuber. Like that's a really, really big thing. So many people they think when I hit 20,000 subscribers, then I'm a YouTuber and then I'll commit to making one video per week. It doesn't work that way around. You've got to commit to making one video per week now. You've got to start acting like a YouTuber now. You've got to become the kind of person who makes super high quality, valuable videos for your ideal client now, so that you get those subscribers, so that you get those views and those leads. You've got to make that decision first, and then the results will follow. It doesn't happen the other way around. So I would say mindset above everything when it comes to doing YouTube. And then from there, everything will naturally follow.
Absolutely, because as anything in business, if you stick long enough into something, the results will come. But often people quit before arriving there because they don't see the views, they don't see the results. But at the end of the day, especially nowadays, and we do specifically, how do you leverage the content that you create on YouTube? Because one way I see it, all right, I create content for YouTube, and until that takes off, I'll repurpose that content to other platforms. Like I'll do shorts, I'll do reels, I'll do other things. And speaking of that, do you create shorts from the bigger YouTube video and drive traffic to your channel like that, or you focus specifically on a longer format?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think when anyone starts off, you should focus on one platform, one content type, so short form, long form, and just stick to that until you can dominate it. So I think in most cases, not in all cases, but in most cases, YouTube is the best place to start generating leads for your business because of what we talked about earlier with the 7-hour rule, and long form content specifically is just the best way to do that. So right now on my strategy channel, I'm still focusing on long form content because I'm not really at a point where I want to diversify my content type, because I could start doing short form, but then I'm just splitting my attention and splitting my focus. And I'm not at a stage yet where I think that's the right strategic decision. So I sort of compare it, it's a bit like learning tennis and basketball at the same time. You can do long form and short form. You can learn them both. They're both sports, as it were, but like it's tough to learn them both at the same time. You may as well just focus on one and then bring in the other later on. So the real question is, okay, when is a good time to actually start diversifying your content. And I just think it's once you've built your channel, once you've really cracked down on long form, built a team, got to the point where it's very easy to make one video per week, that's where you might go, okay, now what I'll do is I'll start introducing short form content, because ideally, if you're a business owner, you're going to have to, train up a new editor to start editing those videos. You're going to have to think differently about hooks and all the little things that go into short form content that is different to long form content. You've got to start thinking about that separately. So yeah, I think trying to do everything to begin with is not the best business decision. Obviously, I think long term, having as many content types and dominating as many different places is awesome, but I don't think that's where you start.
Yeah, smart advice, because often you might think, oh, but you have the long form video content. Let's break that down into pieces. And let's say we have, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 points of value that you provide in the long form. I'll have 3, 4, 5 points of, or shorts. But as I mentioned, hooks might not work because that specific thing will not make sense for the viewer if they don't watch the full video and so on. And yeah, super smart advice. And when you arrive at that point, you see getting traction and so on, you expand. And as you mentioned, you start to think about creating shorts, you start to think about bringing on help, and if you can from the beginning, as you well said. And what will be the next phase of growth? And I would like to conclude with that, because I think if people arrive until here, or maybe are at that point, they go through the whole process, if they want to grow, to end up with a banger, I would say, a my job, because you grow to over 1 million subscribers. So
yeah, that's a really good question. And I think it's so particular to the individual. So for me, I did the Magic channel, I got that to 1 million subscribers, and I then, went, you know what, I want a new challenge, which was the YouTube strategy that I'm doing now. But before that, I was like, okay, well, I still want to run the Magic channel, but I can't be spending 30% of my time doing this thing, because I'm trying to focus on a new venture. So for me, I just decided to outsource everything, including the Magic. So I don't even perform the Magic anymore. And other magicians do the magic and the scripting and the filming and everything. I just introduce the videos, so it's still my face and my brand, and that's it. So my approach was, I will just let this channel run automatically, and then I will just start my own new venture, and I can now dedicate 95% of my time to that and just 5% of my time to the Magic channel. So that was what I did. But lots of people, they might be numbers focused. They just want to grow it to the point where they're getting the most amount of money. Other people might go, you know what? I've actually got a really good business here. For me now, I want to really focus on, let's say, my personal brand and become like a very well-known figure, not just in this niche, but more generally. In which case, you're probably better off starting a new channel and maintaining the current channel as it is, as business advice to keep your business running. And then what you would do is you might make a bit more of a lifestyle channel where you do go for those big views. You do try and create videos that attract a younger audience and an older audience and a really just broad audience, because that's your goal. So it really is super dependent on the individual and what their goals are, essentially. A lot of the time, though, just from the people I've worked with, they kind of want to build their business first. And then once they've built that business, then they focus on building a more broad personal brand. So that's the normal route that people take. But again, it's just individualistic, and it depends on who you're speaking to.
how's the saying, like, if the cash flows, everything other will follow. Thank you so much, Oscar. It was a great pleasure to have you here on, and can't wait to share with those listening all these golden nuggets that you share, the resources that you're going to provide. And if you're not following Oscar already, I'll put the link below to his channel. Thank you so much, Oscar, for tuning in today with me, and it was a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me, Gabe. Looking forward to seeing it.